This is the Youthful and Useful podcast by Leap Africa.
Sales and partnership, they are not the same thing. Sales are very short term. You want to quickly sell from the, but partnership is long term. There's a lot of conversations. It's going to take a bit of time.
I love the fact that you spoke about value match.
Yeah.
Right, because I think that's something that businesses struggle with. Because when they're setting out, they don't necessarily think about the value match.
Our people do not really like to collaborate. There's always that cultural differences that exist. Thing is, you need to also figure out the value you have as a company.
That if you want to go fast, you go alone. But if you want to go far, you go with other people. Hello everyone, welcome back to our Youthful and Useful podcast. If you're a returning viewer, you are the absolute best. Thank you. And if this is your first time, a special welcome to you. You will find these conversations valuable. My name is Joy Igbinedion and I will be your host for today. This season, we're focusing on empowering you with fundamental principles and expert insights of social entrepreneurship as a means to address critical gaps and challenges faced by entrepreneurs across Africa. Now, before we dive in, get your tea, get your coffee, get your glass of juice, and also get your notepad so you can take down all the gems that will be shared on today's episode. All right, let's get right into it. On this episode, we'll be discussing partnerships and collaborations. Whether you're an entrepreneur looking to expand your network or you're a business owner aiming for long-term success, you're in for a treat with our expert guest today. And this conversation will be packed with insights that you don't want to miss. Our guest today is a brilliant mind renowned for helping businesses unlock their full potential through strategic collaborations. She has been a driving force in connecting companies across various sectors, fostering innovation and sustainable growth. She's also the brain behind HackerPath, a consulting firm that specializes in partnership strategies and business-to-business matchmaking. Now, one of her notable initiatives is the Deal Room. This is a 3-day B2B matchmaking event that focuses on creating lasting partnerships between businesses of various sizes and across sectors. Without further ado, guys, let's welcome the B2B matchmaker, Nenye Patrick Kalu, to the show. Hello, Nenye. You're welcome to the Youthful and Useful podcast.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm well,
I
thank
don't know
you.
what time of the day it is, but good afternoon. I'll start with that. And I don't know this person you were talking about. It sounded like a different person. But yeah, thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for honoring our invitation. We're really glad that we're able to have this conversation with you, especially within the area of your expertise. So first things first, I'd like you to introduce yourself to us and tell us how you got into this business of matchmaking businesses, really, and what led into you founding HackerPath.
Okay. Like you said, my name is Nenye Patrick Kalu. The actual name is Chine, but just to make it easy for people to pronounce, I say Nenye Patrick. How did I get into business-to-business matchmaking? For over the past 7-8 years, I've been working in the fintech industry, especially when it was relatively new in the country. And one thing that stood out for me was that our people do not really like to collaborate. And when you're having conversations with people, I say, oh, you should partner with this person. The first thing they say is, what if the person steals my idea? Forgetting that ideas are a dime a dozen. For everything that has a pro, there's definitely a con. So you have to focus more on the pros of things. So how do you leverage this partnership for your own growth? So that is where it struck me that, you know what, we need to start letting people be comfortable with partnering, and not just getting comfortable with partnering with your sister or people that you know, also going inter-African collaboration, because I'm very pro-Africa, Pan-African. I like Pan-African expansions and what we can do with our continent. This is where the B2B matchmaking part and the partnership consulting was I call it Hackapath, my brain, my baby Hackapath. What it means, it basically is create a path,
Create a
hacking a
path.
path. And what we've been doing is helping businesses find partners outside their actual region, making it easy for you to, plug into customers and plug into partners outside your region and leverage everything that partnership can give, whether it's the culture, whether it's, all the things you can pull from it. Then we started business to business matchmaking events in partnership with International Trade Center and the Netherlands Consulate. What the idea of that is to bring into the same room those people that normally you won't see in the streets, or maybe your email to them will go into the spam, and you get to sit directly opposite and speak date. Bring your values to the table. The first one, which was here in Nigeria, we had companies flying from Ghana, to meet potential partners in Nigeria, and it was super amazing. We got feedback. Actually, interestingly, one of the companies signed a deal before the end of the event. There was a
Wow.
lawyer in place, and that's been the story. We've done it again in Rwanda. We are basically moving it across different cities in Africa so that everybody can start loosening up a bit and start taking advantage of collaboration. The popular saying, I think everybody knows, is if you want to go fast, you go alone. But if you
Alone.
really, really need to go very far, you need to go together. So that's
Yes.
what we're doing. I'm doing with the team with Hackapath, and the other part that's not really being is still a bit on the look. Maybe the team will be the first to hear. I'm part of a team who putting together a Pan African Climate Action Fund to invest in young entrepreneurs that are doing amazing things in sustaining this little home Africa that we have, basically in the space of climate action.
Fantastic.
I think
I
this was so
think
long. I'm so sorry.
that you're no, it's okay. I think that you're doing really brilliant work,
Yeah.
especially with connecting businesses across Africa. I think that sometimes we may be a bit too short sighted and just focus on the people that we can see right before us. But Africa carries a lot of potential. And if we're able to really tap into, connecting across Africa, we will be formidable as a continent.
Yeah.
So I'd like you to share the importance really of partnerships and collaborations to business enterprises.
I think it cannot be overflogged. When you partner, you're pulling together resources. You're pulling resource. You're leveraging what the other person knows that you don't know. It's. I always give this example of the popular iPhone, an Apple product that everybody has. There is Steve Jobs, who everybody knows. There's also Steve Wozniak. These were buddies back in school. Steve Wozniak is like the guy, the brain guy, the guy that does the computer and whatnot. And Steve Jobs on the other side is a thinker. He's like, oh, this is the way products should work. Imagine if this collaboration never worked. Imagine if two of them never came together, there won't be an iPhone today. So they pulled resources, they pulled expertise. So the importance of collaborating is that's pool. You're pulling resources, you're pulling expertise, you're seeing different perspective, and it helps you to refine whatever you're working on.
Fantastic. And I think that one thing that I hear is how partnerships and collaborations broaden your horizon, right? It helps to expand your business idea. You might be looking at it, narrowly, and then you get a partner come on board and they're asking questions like, oh, okay, we should actually consider all these other aspects of partnership.
And
Fantastic.
not just that, one thing that it helps you tap into, like I said, resources of, if imagine that you have just 50 customers and your partner has 200 customers, you already have 250 customers.
250.
It's as simple as that. It's just that the math is always there. The numbers are always what you will look at when you're, at the end of the day. So yeah, it's why not?
An
When we can,
exponential
yeah.
factor. Absolutely. So as an expert in this field, right? What would you say are some of the things you should consider, you know, when you want to look for a partner, when you want to secure a partnership? What are some of those key things that you have to tick off?
The very first thing I always say is you have to first be sure what you need. You cannot just wake up and say, oh, I want to partner with Dangote. Why? So it's the thing is you need to also figure out the value you have as a company. And I think that should always be the very primary stage. Figure out your value. This is the value I have as a company, and this is where I'm lacking. So what I'm doing is I'm partnering to enhance that place. So just like how you walk into a room that has cameras, there's always the blind spot of the camera.
Yeah.
So it's about putting a light on the blind spot of the camera to capture things. So you need to make sure that they have the value that you're looking for. There's no need doing a partnership any collaboration or partnership if there's a value mismatch. So first of all, establish that there is value. Both of you have similar values, similar context when you're thinking. That's the first thing. Now look about their track record. There's something about track record. There's a lot of people that like to we started glorifying individualism a lot. So people would just want to be like, I did this, I that. So look at track record. How have they worked with partners? Do they always fight with their partners? What's that? What's been their track record? Which is very, and also integrity for your business. You don't just want to collaborate with somebody because they're popular. What is the integrity for your business and for your customers? And so look at integrity, look at track record, and make sure that it's a clear value match and that they have exactly what you're looking for, so that you don't go. That is the interesting thing is in traffic. You always see the gala and lakasara people going
Yeah.
side by side. Or when you enter the market, you see beans and bread. That's really collaboration. They're like, you need gala. You will have to use something to step down the gala. So that's actually the very basic common
Actually,
man's knowledge
yes.
of partnership. Just find it. For me, I like to use my sister, my younger sister, who is a pain in my ass. She loves to clean. She cleans to ease stress. On the other hand, I love to cook and I hate to clean. So I say, you know what? Name whatever dish you want to eat. I'm going to cook it, but then handle this bunch of cleaning thing. Whether you're going to get an agency, whatever, just clean the house. And in our own way, we're partnering. Partnership is an everyday thing. Some of us go for potlucks. What happens is everybody brings smaller dish and we make an entire feast. So that's easier ways to start thinking partnership before you start thinking one gang move. Is that all those tiny things that there's what accumulate to become something brother. So we don't lose it. First, make sure they have great track record and make sure that there's actually value
Value
match.
match.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I love the fact that you spoke about value match,
Yeah.
right? Because I think that that's something that businesses struggle with, because when they're setting out, they don't necessarily think about the value match. Just, oh, I need someone to fill this gap for me. I think that these people are really great. Let me pitch to them. And then somewhere down the line, it's not like, okay, this isn't going to work because, I mean, we're very big on integrity. These guys are not, right? So I think my next question would be, how do you solve that kind of problem, right? So you're already in that partnership and you're realizing that our values actually don't match. How do you get out of such a partnership without burning bridges and damaging things further?
I think the very first thing is to try not to get into the place in the first place, which is always the first. Prevention, they say, would always be better than cure. And there are times when you get in, and for some reason, you may have had a blind spot. You didn't know this until you get in. I am big on not burning bridges, like you say. There is so much communication gap that we have a lot. Be very transparent with your partners when you're doing business. So what sometimes when you see the problems come from, there is lack of communication, lack of actual correct data and all that. You have to easily step back without creating an animosity in some sense. So you could say, oh, this is where our company is going this period. we can revisit this thing later. But at this moment, we want to kind of shift our focus more differently to a different part of our business, or this is where we're heading at this point. This doesn't right now align, but we'll sure come back when we see something else that is aligned. Right now, the company has gotten more clarity. We're moving more towards this side. You don't have to jump on the car and say, you people, this is not what you told me. Oh." So you have to, again, always be very clear in your communication
Yeah.
and be honest. I think sometimes in business, it's good to be diplomatic, but even in that diplomacy, just don't just
Diplomacy.
lie.
Be
It's,
honest.
don't be, just don't lie to people's faces, because again, the business world is very small. You can you can step out of a relationship, and interesting thing, 2 3 4 5 years down the line, there may be change in government in the company that sort of kind of brings you back to
To the
working
same
together.
room with the same
Yeah,
people.
so it's always good to say, be clear. Say right now, this the company has gotten more clarity. We're moving differently from this direction. We would definitely revisit this conversation. Let me know if there's a way to, whoever you need me to introduce to you, if there's a way to make this transition way easier, because you can't just opt and leave, especially if you people have started something. You can't opt and just disappear and stop responding to emails, which is actually a Nigerian thing, it's African things, and avoidance avoidance mentality, where you just ignore the emails, and then they'll message and then they leave it, and then one day you meet in a conference like, you. So it's easier to give them an alternative, because whatever you're working with them at the time, you probably might be the only one that they're using at the time. So ensure to do your own research, give them an alternative, somebody that their values align, and do an introduction, help transition them to those people and step out. So first of all, yes, we've transitioned them. So they've gained another partner while you're exiting. So it doesn't kind of give that gap, that you don't create a gap while you leave. And then every time
Fantastic.
you see again, you don't want to be hiding behind somebody and be like, don't let this guy see me. He's coming. Should I turn left? You don't have to do that.
That is so relatable. Like as you were speaking, I could literally just remember
Yeah.
such incidences.
Then you see
Fantastic.
yourself 1 year later say, oh, do you remember me that day that come on.
It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for that response. So how has Hackerpath, managed and leveraged partnerships for your deliverables?
That is there's a saying, I think it was Bill Gates that said it, that if you want something done innovatively, give it to a lazy person. They will always find a way to get it shorter. And one of those,
Wow.
yeah, and one of those people that will always say, see, why do I have to? First of all, I don't know if it's good to for my steez to say this out there, that I have absolutely no clue about DIY, because I'll be like, why do I want to be hanging picture when I can get someone that is a professional picture hanger?
So come and
You
hang
know,
it.
so it's there's that thing of always finding ways. I worked with Seed Stars for 5.5 years, almost 6 years, and one of our key culture was to hack the system, get there fast. And the way you can hack the system is by finding other ways to get there faster. Who knows how to do it better, even within teams. I, for instance, I do not like Excel. I know how to do it, but I do not like it. I used to have a colleague, Femi breathes like it's as if he sees his eyes pop when he sees Femi. I'm sorry to put you on the spot. His eyes pops when he sees Excel. It's like, oh, V lookup, this thing. If I have something like that, I say, Femi, which work can I take off your table and give you myself? What do you want? Okay, I'll talk to that partner for you and whatnot. For Hackapath, the whole essence of Hackapath is collaboration and partnership. Right now, what we do is we're helping companies expand within African region, setting them up in Ethiopia, in Cameroon, in Kenya, in Rwanda. We can't do all that if we don't have physical partners in these locations. I guess I only travel these places because I want holiday. For work, we have built these partners, from lawyers to regulators, to as even office spaces, owners of office spaces, regular citizens that can give me updates in, Madam, dollar to this thing today is now this rate to in their own currency. You just be updated, and it just brings the world smaller. Luckily, because of technology, the whole geographical barriers have been broken down, and that's what we're leveraging. So it's because of this we work with the likes of International Trade Center. We work with Imponta Technology in Ghana. There are long list of Mercy Corps and long list of people that we just work with to get first to get our clients what they need faster, because a client can call you tomorrow morning and say, oh, I want to launch in Cameroon, Ethiopia, Gambia, all of them at once. If you didn't have partners, it means that you'll be traveling there and start to fill form and do the process by yourself. But leveraging these existing partnership that we've built, it's a walk in the park. In 1 week, I can get you all this these cities or these countries, and not just getting you that, also get you the partners you should work with that we trust, that their value matches. So yeah, that's how we'll be leveraging collaborations.
Okay, okay, I hear you, and I think that we've really spoken to the importance of collaborations and partnerships. You know how it helps you scale your ideas, pull resources, get into markets that you've
Yeah.
never been to
Yeah.
before. Um, but I want to talk about the challenges
Yeah.
of partnerships and collaborations,
Yeah.
especially Pan African,
Yeah.
right? Because Africa is very diverse. We have several languages, cultures, different people with different mindsets and values, right? So, what are some of the challenges of partnerships across Africa?
Um, Nigeria alone has over 427 languages. In fact, I think there's a city in is it Akwa in Cross River where the males and the females speak different language. That's actually how interesting and how dynamic Africa is. And yes, there would always be there's never anything that just has only pros, but you need to figure out how to work. There's also cultural limitations, that you need to consider. For instance, Nigeria, we have hustling spirit. You want to, everything is heavy, quick.
Yeah.
You are now trying to do collaborate with somebody in Uganda who they like to take their time, and they're looking at you like,
waking up.
why are you
Why
awake
the
and
rush?
jumping at 6 a.m.? Madam, calm down.
Don't you sleep?
So there's always that cultural
Yeah.
differences that exist. That's obviously would always be there. Again, the major challenge which we've talked over and over again would be the values. You have to find a way to not make those things to be a limitation. You need to understand the other person's culture, understand how they want to be treated, how they want to be engaged. I like to use Russians for an example. If you're going to have a meeting with a Russian, they don't show facial expressions there, and you don't know whether they like what you're saying. You don't know whether they don't like what you're saying. You're there like, Jehovah, I hope I'm doing the hey Marco. You just be there, but there you wouldn't know. An American would use gesticulations. Oh, they're always happy, and you can see their expressions easily. So there's always the cultural barrier. Then we have also the one that it's literally slightly we can fix and we cannot, which is also regulations. There are sometimes regulatory barriers that exist, that make things difficult for you to get through to somebody outside Africa. Africa as is big, there are some that have developed more than the other.
Yeah.
In as much as you enjoy your cell phones now, and there are some people that is not they just want to use their CG phone and make an article. So whatever thing that you're doing, you have to know, okay, there are regulatory restrictions, there are cultural restrictions, and then again, values. So the best things to always do is, first of all, wherever you're going, try to stick that out, understand how would this person be like to be addressed. How can I get through to this person? It doesn't mean that you are shape shifting, you're just accommodating, right? You have to learn how they would like to be spoken to, learn how they do business, how their culture fits into something. I would give an instance. I was in Adamawa. I went to Adamawa and Borno early this year. We were deploying a rural resilience activity solution for the North in financial inclusion and financial literacy for the people in the Northeast. And once I entered at the MOA, of course, I knew what I just changed my regalia, covered my, looked, and it was easy for them to speak to me. Before I came down, first of all, they didn't even know whether I spoke Hausa or not. There was already that welcoming feel. And then when the person that got me from the airport to meet with other people say, where can we take you to eat now? I said, no, where do you eat? And I said, let's go to where you eat. I'm like, oh, because I've done a lot of research, I'm like, oh, I want to eat Merigi special. She lit up with excitement. Oh, you know what Merigi special is? And we ate, I had done my research. Okay, they like to eat this is what they, and when we entered the market, related to them the way they like to be related to. Then I came back to Lagos, and 2 weeks after, I got a call 6 a.m. in the morning, very excited on the phone, and she says, I sent you a picture on WhatsApp, check your WhatsApp. She sent me 2 live goats, picture of 2 live goats, and she's like, today is goat market, we bought you goats, we're about to kill it, dry it and send it to Lagos. I'm
Oh,
like,
wow.
how much is your money? Can I say? And I said, no. Most people come here and make it look, they want to sell product or push things or not, because Northeast, everybody using Northeast to tick attendance of, oh, we are helping people, go and do photo ops with them.
Yeah.
And but before we had conversations, I was like, okay, I need to know if this product works for you first before we start to tell you about, let me know about your your community, your family. So for them, they were excited. They've never been approached like they mattered. And for her, the way they showed up was to kill 2 live goats, dry it and send to Lagos. Thankfully, I've been eating goat meat since then in my fridge.
It's like I've tasted this particular good that they
Actually.
just send. Yeah.
So basically, I said all that to say that how you make people feel matter. So regardless of that, the way you approach them would always matter. Know that the cultural background can be breached by you showing up and letting them know that you understand how they want to be dealt with. For the government related and regulatory related one, this way we have to have a lot of people in the private sector, doing a lot of engagement with the government, because nobody knows it all. And there's little to nothing you can do about those ones. But the ones you have direct control, please, by all means, control the way.
Thank you so much. I really like how you answered that question, because you did not just mention the challenges, but you also referenced some of the solutions to these challenges. There would always be the language barrier. You cannot speak every language in the world. There'll be the language barrier.
I speak Igbo. I try to learn Yoruba and Hausa. I'm learning. I know French a bit. I'm trying to speak a bit. So I started doing Mandarin class, and I'm like, at what point do I stop?
Nigeria alone, we have over 400. So
yeah.
where do you really want to start from, right? So although there are these barriers, we need to do our part, which is the research. Understand the culture of the people that you want to partner with. If their day starts at 9 a.m., don't wake them up at 6 or 7. Respect their culture, respect their boundaries. And for the things that are government related, we have to have more handshakes between the public and private sectors, so that we can fix some of these things. I mean, why do you need to, as an African, why do you need a visa to travel to another African country?
See, I think that case is, we'll take it up with Jesus at some point. I mean, there's a lot of things being done in that regard. Not to deviate a bit from partnership, but there's the AFTA, the African Free Trade Zone, and the laws that are currently being made for AFTA, where basically to create like these free trading across all African countries. In retrospect and in theory, if that is being put in place, it is a fantastic flow. It would help to start doing both data collections across countries. You make ease of movement. But again, theory. AFTA this has been working on AFTA for a while, and I think we did an event and went deep into after the what's going to happen after. That would help. For instance, I'm supposed to be going to Morocco, and I had to wait for 3 weeks for my visa. If someone was going to die, person will have died. But what I'm saying is, yes, there's that. We see that recently there's been a lot of awakening about that. There's been a lot of conversation about, opening up
Our
the
borders.
African border for cross, collaborations and cross relationship with the after, which is what it's right now Africa is focusing on, and we hope in the nearest future that they start to execute it in beats, and it will kind of see a lot of flow and ease of business, flow and ease of movement for Africans.
Fantastic. I think really what we just need to do is continue to push and continue to have these collaborations and partnerships, because what has now happened is, because we're exploring Pan African partnerships and collaborations more,
Yeah.
we're able to see what the challenges are and propose solutions to these challenges, which has resulted in us having conversations where we can
Yeah.
open up our borders to
Yeah.
make these transactions easier.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So this question about sustainability, I think I want us to delve a little into it. How do you build sustainable partnerships?
See, there is something that I've seen happen a lot, where people, there's the get rich quick mentality. Everybody thinks the next person is their ticket out of poverty. Everybody thinks either the next partner is their poverty alleviation program. But that is obviously, like I mentioned, is not sustainable. What we're trying to do generally is also to teach people how to think more sustainability than survival. We have a lot of people that think survival mentality.
Survival,
So when
yes.
you're thinking survival, I mean that you don't mind climbing over the next person to get what. Some people, they just say, if I just get $10 million from this guy now, more I could just buy one car like this, and then it changes their mindset. They are trying to survive. So we need to sustainable. How do we get to build sustainable
Partnerships,
partnerships?
yes.
First and foremost, communicate like crazy. I think that one thing is that we do not really, 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 when people say, oh, communication, everyone just thinks that they underplay it. Communication really matters. It brings a lot of clarity. You have to always communicate with your partner. If something is supposed to take 5 days, you have agreed that it will take 5 days. For whatever reason, it's going to enter a seventh day. Please let them know. All those you want to be like, oh, you get it, na. Or you are not, you're making them lose trust. And over time, it will start to show. Communicate. If you're missing a deadline, let them know. Say, hey, I'm going through this challenge. We're going to miss this deadline. You cannot always be, sometimes it comes from, I've seen sometimes, when having, because one time I had this team of over I was managing a team of over 40 people when I was still with Quick Check, which is a Sisters product. You see that some people, when they miss the deadline, the reason they're not telling you, it's not because they're trying to hide it. They feel bad. They feel inadequate. But what happens is, yes, you're feeling inadequate, but your client is going to see it as you're just,
I'm
trying to
serious.
play tricks. And before you know it, it enters into damage control. So communicate early. That is the way you build trust. And the only way to sustain anything is trust. So there have to be building that trust has to be with proper communication. If you say that you're going to give something at 7 o'clock, please just give them to them at 7. If you have to move in, let them know on time so they can also rearrange themselves. Then actually do the work. There's some people, I was making a joke with my friend today over the call, where we're like, some people have become professional pitchpreneurs, where they can't pitch. Everywhere that they're doing it, they are there. They never sit down to
To
do
actually
the
do the
work.
work.
Theoretically, they would speak all the English. ChatGPT is be learning work from them, but they can actually do the work. So learn to do the work. Say what you know how they say, mean what you say and say
Say
what you
what you
mean.
mean.
It's like if you say that I can do this, be sure you can do it. Walk the talk. It's not about if it's about talking, there's a lot of people that, I mean, what happens with that is if you get things because you can talk big talk, over time it will catch up with you when you don't know how to do the
Deliver.
work. It's just that you can get away with it for a while, but you catch up. So walk the talk. If you say that I can do this, if you say, if it comes to lifting sand, if I carry sand for you today, you know, go no, but it just do it. Know your onions, be good at it, and communicate early, communicate clearly,
Accurate
be very
communication.
data driven. It helps people build trust and comfort when I see that I can visualize, oh, this is where we started, this is where we're going, and that clear path from the onset. Yes, we have values. This is what we are trying to achieve. Establish from the beginning what the goal is. It's not half an hour we go run and we go run and does never
You
you
know
will
they
run
run
away.
anything.
We go run. You know, everything. No worry now. We go run now. You can't. It's not sustainable. Create a flow. Say, okay, this is what I'm going to do for you, or this is what we're going to do. This is the end goal. Establish the end goal and make sure from the get go there's a way to track those things. It keeps it sustainable. So know that okay, this end goal means that we can get here in 2 years or in 3 years, whatever. But for every milestone, you communicate, you're clear, and we know that this is where we're going to. That's just a way to actually sustain. And that has worked in, I can't even begin to mention how that gives has worked with every partner that I've ever worked with, because they know if I tell you I can do this, if I cannot do it, I tell you, this one I cannot do, but don't worry, because I have the pool of contacts, I'm more than happy to relate. Just send you an email. Say, okay, speak to this person. They are fantastic in this field. Just focus on them. So yeah, take what you can do, be clear with your goals, put actionable steps, make sure your partners can also visualize the same data, and communicate as much as, in
As you
fact, over
can.
communicate safe. It's
It's better
better.
to over
It's better than to
communicate
over
than
than
under
under. So over
communicate.
communicate, be clear. There's no need to lie to people. They will find out. They will find out. If you don't know how to do it, they will find out, and you'll be burning bridges, which is what you don't want
Don't
to
want to
do
do, yes.
in business. Because I keep saying there's no permanent friend or foe in business. If you don't do business here today, we can do business in another place tomorrow. So yeah.
All right. So, I mean, I've heard you talk about transparency, communication. Always communicate, be transparent, accountability, and do the work. Actually, do the work. Those are some of the ways that you can make sure that the partnership is sustainable. Fantastic. Okay. So, what are some of the trends that you can envision in partnerships and collaborations, especially in Africa?
I think one thing I already had mentioned is that we've seen a lot of cross sectorial collaborations happening. People are no longer just trying to build like cocoons and cults. It's like there's like you see somebody that is in tech trying to do something with someone in oil and gas. Whatever. There's been a lot of cross sectorial conversations and collaborations. That's why these days, if you see events, they'll be like, "Oh, it's sector agnostic." They're trying. There's been a lot of, you know, basically companies in different sectors coming to do things together, and because of technology, there's been a lot of geographical barriers that have been broken
Broken
down.
down.
So you would see a lot of interstate, intercountry partnership. The other day, I was invited for this Korean Nigerian network thing. And I'm like,
How did
okay.
I get? How did we get
Yeah,
there?
so
Oh,
you
good.
just see that there's been a lot of, and this is going to happen way, way, way a lot, and also in Africa, that's huge. That's that whole the geographical barrier that's been broken down by technology, where you can sit here and call somebody in the US, and you're chatting, you can see their video, they will take you for a walk. You start to those barriers are broken. So a lot of cross-sectoral, sector agnostic collaborations are happening. A lot of inter-country, interstate. Collaborations are having. These are generally the trends that you can see, and they're good trends. They're actually things that over time it's quite explosive conversations that happen in the space, and I think that's one of the reasons why. I mean, with the PACA Fund, that's the Pan African Climate Action Fund, too. Is helping us to kind of solve each other's problems from different places. Yeah.
Fantastic. This has been a really interesting conversation.
Yeah.
So, final question. Finally.
Cascade.
Right? We're about to check up. Okay. So, final question. How can you measure the success of partnerships? How do you know that, this partnership with Dangote was very successful?
Um, there are two ways to measure success. There's the tangible, there's the intangible. Tangible is revenue growth. What are the numbers saying? What do I? How many customers did I have since then? I like to reference a collaboration we did when I was still back in Stars with Jumia. We could see from QuickCheck, which was a micro lending company, when that collaboration happened, there was a huge influx of customers because now we could give Jumia customers quick loans to quickly buy something they want to buy in Jumia and pay back when they can or whatever. That solved the problem because it was solving a problem at checkout. People like, I really need this thing, no, but I don't have the money right now. So you can measure it by the number of customers that you get to have over time. What's the revenue saying? What's the numbers saying? Numbers don't lie. Every other thing will lie, but numbers, somebody can bobo you from today to tomorrow. But once you look at the numbers, it says, okay, before this partner started, we were making 1 million in revenue. Now we're making 10 million in revenue. The numbers don't lie. And you always have to make sure you can track what you the conversion from partnership. I would like to say this: sales and partnership, they are not the same thing. Sales are very short term. You want to quickly sell from but partnership is long term. There's a lot of conversations. It's going to take a bit of time, and it's for the long term. You're directly plugged into each other's customers, and so that kind of thing. Yes, tangible. You'll see it in your numbers.
In your
You
numbers.
see it in the growth. Your customer increase. Is there an exponential growth after that? The intangible. What's the awareness? What's the brand awareness? If you wake up today and say, OPay has partnered with say Blanco. For every time you walk into any Blanco shop, that there's all those kind of partnerships. Once they announce it, there's a brand awareness tied to it. It's always something. So that's the intangible. Now you start to hear OPay everywhere. You start to hear money point, or they say, oh, for every MSME group that uses money point, for instance, you get 5 naira. Before you know it, everybody's hearing about money point. Everybody wants to use money point. So it's always that intangible thing of brand
Brand
awareness
awareness.
that happens. What happened? What were you, or how many people knew you before you started with this partner? Now it's like wherever you work in, even if there is not converting, there's already brand awareness. So there's the tangible and there's the intangible way to measure partnerships.
Thank you so much, Nenye. This
Yeah.
has been a truly enlightening conversation
Yeah.
about partnerships and collaborations. And I'm sure that when people listen, they see the potentials really
Yeah.
that exist in Pan-African partnerships. Thank you so much. You know, there's an adage in Africa that says that if you want, and I'm glad that you referenced it. That's why I just started smiling when you said it, because I was also going to speak to it. That if you want to go fast, you go alone. But if you want to go far, you go with other people. And, that really speaks to the sustainability of whatever it is that you're doing. And as our guest has highlighted, it is important when you enter into partnerships and even before you do your research, right? Research is very important. Communicate. Make sure that you can deliver on what you're selling, really. Communicate. Be transparent. Be accountable and get the job done. Thank you so much, Nenye, for joining us for this episode of our Youthful and Useful podcast.
If you don't mind, I think that's one thing that is a problem. I don't want to call this a problem. Let's say stepping stone. Is please always know the value you have as a business. Communicating your value, knowing your value is the very first step into any great partnership or any bad partnership. If you're not able to express the value you have, if I can't ask you and you tell me, oh, this is what I bring to the table, it becomes a problem to even know which table you're supposed to be inside in the first place. So be clear in what your value is as a business, and make sure that you're communicating that value as clear as possible to your partners. That's the only way you find somebody that is a value match. If not, it's if you don't get a value match in partnership, the partnership is already built to fail.
To fail.
So before you go in to say, I need to start partnering with XYZ, what's the value for you? What the value you are bringing to these people? And especially on these small businesses, when small businesses they're always afraid to talk to a bigger company because they're like, if you are sending emails, no good. But if you're clear with your value, this is my value, this is what you get, this is a place that I'm going to help out based off on I've seen that I can do this for you. There are some things that Google is not the only person that has cloud computing stuff. There are smaller companies that still do it. They still partner with Google. You always see Google this thing. That partnership exists because the big guy will never be everywhere. There's still something they will need from
The
you
small
as
guys
the
to
smaller
do.
business. So how are you communicating that value for them to see it, for the bigger guys to see it? So don't play with your value. Your business, the value of your business, be as clear and concise as possible. It should be in the tip of your tongue. It's the first thing you say to the person. This is the value. This is what we do. This is the value we bring. So with that, it's easier to spot when something is right and when something is not right.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Nenye. Definitely a powerhouse when it comes to partnerships and collaborations. You've heard it, guys. Value creation. What value are you creating for the partners, that you're eyeing, the big names? What value are you really creating for them? Thank you so much. Now, if you have found this episode of the Youthful and Youthful podcast useful, give us a thumbs up, please, and share it with people who you know will benefit from the information that has been shared. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel. One more thing, click on that notification bell. Do it right away, right now. Thank you very much. For more insightful episodes like this, please visit our website at www.leapafrica.org/podcast. You can also follow us on social media at Leap Africa on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, and X, formerly Twitter, for more updates. Until the next episode of our Youthful and Useful podcast, continue to partner for impact. Bye.